All right, welcome to another Gatton CNC Live. I'm live here from my shop, and I don't know if you can hear it or not. You can probably see those trees back there blowing around. It has been pouring down rain here since about, I don't know, I guess about 10 o'clock this morning or something. So I think we're catching some of the outer bands of Sally, I guess. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy the show today. I've got a couple little things I'm going to talk about with Mach 3. I hope you'll enjoy the show, and hopefully the things I show you may be useful. Some of the things you're probably going to go, I'll never use that. But then there may come a day when you go, oh yeah, I remember. That's a good chance to use this. So anyway, I'm going to share my screen here with Mach 3, and I'm going to show you the first thing I wanted to talk about today. This is kind of a handy tool. I haven't really seen too many folks talk about this on YouTube, and if you search for it, you probably won't find anything about it. If you look in the Mach 3 manual, it may be in there, but I swear I can't find it. So I think it may be something that somebody else added on and they included it with it or something. But anyway, if you go over here to where at the top where it says operator, and let me get the comments turned on here and make sure yeah, we got a good crowd over here. Okay, I just want to I'll scan back through. I don't see any questions. He says, reconsidered on how my name should be. Are you changing it up on me? The E is like in egg. Yeah. Okay. Now you're getting me all confused because I was all prepared to say Al, or is it? I don't know. I think that's what you told me last week. Anyway, welcome to the show. Hope you enjoy it here. All right, so let's come over here into the Mach 3. And if you go over here to this operator up here at the top, and you click down, there's a thing called maintenance hours. And I don't know, a lot of people probably wouldn't look at this too close or don't even know what it's for. But I got to looking at it, and I don't really use it, but it gave me an idea because it does keep track of your total operating time in hours and stuff. So I was thinking, as you know, for somebody that's a hobbyist and may be using a router instead of a spindle that has brushes, this might be a good way to check and kind of get an idea when it's time to stop and check the brushes. You know, probably everybody that's used a router at some point has had it die right in the middle of a job because the brushes give out. I know I have. But I just thought that was kind of a handy thing. Here, of course, what you're seeing here is this computer that I'm using to live stream with, and just been running some demonstrations and stuff. And here you can see, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. This stuff's just too small. It looks like I've got 14,110, and that's units, which would be inches. So that's how many inches the X here, 13,000, and then 6,000 and something for the Z. If you have a spindle connected, it will keep track of your spindle on time, and it does count how many times you've done an M3 command, which turns the spindle on. So this is just one of those things that's kind of obscure, that's some people may not have ever even seen it before. Or if you did, maybe didn't know what it was for. But I just thought I would point it out just because, like I said, when I got to looking at it close, I'm like, you know, that might be a good thing for the guys that use a router. And to keep track of when those brushes are about to go out, especially if they go out. You could replace the brushes and then reset this, because if you hit reset all, it'll turn all that back to zeros. And then you can start. So if you've got an idea that, you can get, I don't have any idea how long brushes last. Let's just say they'll last 1,000 hours. You could put a new set of brushes in, reset that, and then just every once in a while, check that and go, oh, I'm getting close. And then you can do it while you're not running, pull it apart and check the brushes. And that may save you from losing especially a long job when you're right in the middle of it and the brushes decide to crap out. So, okay, I was reading the comments over there. I don't see any questions. They're talking about Mach stuff. So, all right, so that's the first little thing that I thought I would point out. And like I said, if you search that on YouTube, good luck. You probably won't find anything, because I searched it. I put Mach 3 maintenance hours and, tried different searches, and I never found anything on it. But again, it might be handy for the router brush type thing. Okay, another thing I want to talk about is, and I see this a lot, somebody will make a project or something, they'll post a picture of it on Facebook, and somebody, inevitably there's somebody that's going to go, oh man, can you share that file? So let's pretend that somebody made something like this, and somebody else on Facebook wants the file. So you send them maybe the VCAR profile, the VCAR file. Maybe you send them the program, and that person gets ready to pull it up. But now there's a problem. The person that did the file was up to date on their VCAR Pro or Aspire or whatever. And this person hasn't upgraded. He's on a different version, so he can't open that VCAR file. So all he's got is the G code that the guy made. So can he do anything with that? Well, yeah, he could probably run it just like it is. And hopefully he checks, comes down through here and checks the tools that are used and stuff like that. But let's say for a moment that the guy that's got this file says, well, let's see, I pull this up. I can see here that the material size is 12.5 by 9 inches. It's 1/2 inch thick. This was just 1/2 inch thick plywood back here. And then if they come over here to the tool path and look here, they can see that the zero is set in the center, and they can see that the actual piece is 5.55. So it's going to be 5.55 this way, 5.55 that way. So it's about a little over 11 inches this way. And on the Y, it's 4.1 twice. So that's going to be 8.2. But let's say that this guy says, you know what? I want to make I want to make this really big, because I want it to be on the back of my shop wall when I'm shooting YouTube videos, so it'll show up and people will subscribe to my channel. So I want to make it big. Well, all they've got is the G code, but they can make it pretty much whatever size they want just with this G code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and edit this G code. And I've already got this set up, so I'm going to just take these brackets off so that it will now work. And I'm going to set this using the G51 command, which is the scale command for G code. And the X3, Y3 isn't a coordinate position. It's saying to go 3 times scale on the X and 3 times scale on the Y. So you also need to make sure you come down to the end, and I'll take the brackets off of this because anytime you use this scaling feature, you need to also turn it off at the end of the program. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and then when I exit back out, this all looks the same, but if I come over here now, you can see that it is roughly, or I should say exactly, 3 times bigger than what it was. So you can now run this code, and I want you to watch right up here where, well, I'm pointing like you can see, I guess I got to use this. Right up here where it says scale, you see it says 1, so that means it's 1-to-1 scale right now. But when I click this cycle start and it starts running this, once it gets down to that line where I have the G51, you'll notice now it's jumped up and it's saying, oh, you're running a scale of 3, and it's also flashes so that you won't forget that you're doing that you're running it 3 times as big. So that's kind of a handy thing for, because I got to thinking, I can see a lot of use cases for this where people, again, they get a file and they don't have the latest version, or maybe they did, maybe they wrote the program in, what's the other one, Fusion 360 or something that person don't have, but you can take the code and still do a lot of things with it. Okay, now I'm going to come down here and stop this because I don't want to go. And also, like I said, this will stay over here flashing until it gets down here and hits that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it off like this for the G50. Well, didn't that do it? No, I guess it didn't. I thought it did. Well, wait a minute. Okay, there it goes. So must not have been holding my mouth right. Okay, so I'm going to load that program in again. Okay, so now the guy has made it 3 times as big. He's like, oh man, this is awesome. It's going to be about 33 inches wide according to this over here. When you do the math, it's 30 inches. And then he's like, oh, nuts. My X direction, I've only got a cutting area of 30 inches. So how am I going to do that? Well, there's another pretty neat code that you can put in this G code called the G68 and a G69. And what that does, and again, I already had these set up so I wouldn't have to spend a lot of time out here. But what this one does is this is saying G68, which means rotate. The A0 and the B0 means that it's just wanting to use the same point to rotate around. So in other words, I had my 0 set in the middle of the material. So it's just going to take it, put it right in the middle of the material, and it's going to rotate it 90 degrees right here. And just like with the scale, anytime you rotate, you also have to go and turn that off at the end of the program for everything to work right. Okay, so G69 is the code that turns the G68 rotation off, and G50 is the code that turns the G51 scale off. So I'm going to save this now. So now you see what happens. It's not only scaled it, when I come over here to the tool path and then I refresh or regenerate this tool path here, you can see that it's turned it 90 degrees. And let me go back here and set that way it'll be right in the middle where it's supposed to be. Okay. So now you can see that it's basically just from this, using this as a pivot point, it's just rotated at 90 degrees. So now in the X, it is, I don't know why that's got 14. Let me regenerate that again. Okay, yeah, there we go. So it's 12.3 and 12.3. So if the guy only had 30 inches cutting area on his X, now this is only 24 and some change. So it'll fit that way. And assuming he's got the other, I'm assuming he would have it longer on this side. So, just the way his machine was laid out. So now that person can use that same code that you can see here is still, none of it's really changed. But just by putting those simple G-code things in there, you can scale it, and you can go up or down. You can scale it smaller, or you can scale it bigger, and you can also rotate it. So now, again, if I hit this and start running, when I get down to the line where it says the G51, you see these flashing right here, and you'll see it's a 3 scale. And also notice that the DRO numbers, instead of being black like they are down here, they are red. So that also kind of lets you know that, hey, there's something else going on there. You have it rotated, and you have the scale going at the same time. Says, are they commands executed by the CNC controller board or by the executed by Mach 3? Mach 3 is reading that code and telling it what to do. So, yeah, if you don't, that's why it's important to always have a G50 at the bottom of the program to clear it out. Because if you don't clear it out and you start up again, when this will be flashing and say 3 times. Well, then when it gets down and hits that line, all of a sudden it's going to try to scale it 3 times again. So you have to always use the command to turn it off, just like just like the 69 will turn off the G68 rotation, and the G50 will turn off the G51. Now, there are some cases where this won't work out. For example, if you've got something with holes, you got to remember when you scale the hole or scale this, depending if you put it at the beginning of the program to the end of the program, it's scaling that whole program. So if you want a 1/4 inch hole in there, it's probably okay if you're using a 1/4 inch end mill and using a drill thing, because you're still going to get a 1/4 inch hole. But let's say you're using a 1/4 inch end mill and you had a 5/16 hole, so it's using the pocket to mill it out. Well, now when you scale it, it's going to make that bigger. So that probably won't work on certain things. It's only certain kinds of programs that will work. I've used this before with everybody's familiar with the old Aztec calendar. You can have, and you could do this with really any of your products. So again, as long as it doesn't have mounting holes and stuff like that, because location and all that will get gone. But you could actually have a program and just have like, okay, I got the program where it's going to make a 10-inch Aztec calendar, and then you could have another one put in brackets to scale it to where it's going to make a 15-inch calendar, and then you can put another row and put brackets on it and have it where it's going to make, say, a 20. So you could use the same program to make a bunch of different sizes, and just whichever one you wanted to do, that's the one you went and turned the brackets off and then resave it. But another thing you got to be careful about, and I'm going to reset this. And when I go to hit, I hope it does the same thing it did a while ago. If you go to hit, go to 0, you notice I'm in the material right now, about 1/8 in. See what would happen? And it tells you right down here. Oh, great. I got a fly in here. It says the no safe Z in rotated coordinate mode. So if you reset and you're in this because you see what I just did by hitting that and it moving, I just plowed across and ruined my workpiece there. So you would have to hit the reset button or whatever, clear it, raise the Z up, and then hit go to zero, because for some reason the no safe Z does not work when you're in that rotated coordinate mode. It does work if you're just using the scaling, but it won't work in the rotated for some reason. So again, I can come over here and hit that one to turn off the scaling, and I hit G69, and that will turn off. See, now we're back to 1-to-1, and if I regenerate this, it's gonna, you notice when I hit this, you see these flash and it goes to 3 and then it comes back, because when you hit regenerate, it goes through and looks at all that code, so it knows that that stuff's in there. And of course it won't change until you scroll down and you hit that first line that tells it it's scaling. Okay, let's see. Greg wants to know, can you go the other way and make it smaller? Sure, you can. Let's do that. I'll edit this G code, and I'll come down here to where I had it scaled. Like right now, I've got it 3 times. Let's say I want to make it, let's see, it was about 11 inches. Let's say I want to make it where it's 3/4 the size. So I would just put 0.75, and of course you have to put the same for the X and the Y. You can't, you'll get something really weird if you have those two numbers different. So if I hit save and then come back here and hit exit, and then we come over here and look, remember before this was, well, now it's going to be the Y one, I guess. This is 8, looks like it's going to be about 832. I got a fly on my screen here. So it's going to be about 832 this way now, whereas before it was about 11 and some change. So that's how you can make it smaller. And again, you got to make sure your tools are still going to fit in the area that you're trying to clear out there. So that's something you got to think about. I mean, once you test this and find out it works, you can pretty much do it whatever size. But if it's a type of program where you've got some things that you want bigger and other things you want to keep the same, then, you know, you also want them to stay in the same location, you're going to get things screwed up. So it's not going to work all the time, but I'm just saying that you can use this for a lot of simple programs like this. And I want to bring up here, there is, of course, the Mach 3 manual that everybody knows. It's about 1 million pages long and has all kinds of stuff. But there's also this one that you may not know about. And I don't have a link to this one yet, but I'll go find where I got this. It's somewhere on the ArtSoft webpage. This one's only 22 pages. But this one is just a manual about G codes. And if you look right here, you can see the G51 set axis data input scale factors, G50 reset all scale factors back to 1-to-1. And down here, G68, 69, rotate program coordinate system. You could rotate this. Again, you can go any kind of direction. Like I got it set to 90. So I took it and just, let's see, I got to face it. I just took it and went like this, but you could also rotate it 270. I mean, you could rotate it 45 if you had some weird piece of material and it needed to go off that way. It will work at any angle. But most people would probably just go 0 to 90 and or 270, one or the other. Let's see here. Peggy says, you edit the G code in Mach 3 and you save it to execute. Where is the code saved so you can use it again? Well, Peggy, when I come up here and I edit this, well, let's see, if I hit save as, okay, yeah, it's on my desktop in a folder under this date just because I was going to use it for this demonstration. But it's going to save it for wherever you had it saved. So when you come up here and edit, whatever you change and you click save and then you click exit, that code is still wherever it was when you first opened it. It hadn't changed its location unless you do a save as and save it somewhere else. But it's ready to go. So again, I can come back here and I'm just going to go ahead and put the brackets back around here. And everybody should know, I think, that anytime you put brackets around something, the Mach 3 or whatever software it is, it just ignores that. It's like that line's not even there. And you can also use it. That's why all these here, everything that's in brackets, it's like where you can add a note to remind yourself of something about the program. So I'll come right here and just put brackets back around here. And when I get it done and save it, and now you can see it's back the way it originally was. The tool path, when I regenerate that tool path, it's now back the way it was, and it's got the dimensions that match what was programmed originally. So, all right. Yeah, I think, they mentioned something about that. I think, let's see, let me scroll down here to where that was. G50. Somewhere in here. Okay, here it is. It says it is not permitted. Oops. It is not permitted to use unequal scale factors to produce elliptical arcs with G2 or G3. So, yeah, you need to keep the X and the Y scale the same. But this, I'm going to put a link to this after I get off here. I'll go find it on the ArtSoft website. Here's where it's talking about the G68 and 69 rotate coordinate system. I mean, this is a really good thing. I mean, not everybody wants to learn all the ins and outs of G code, but just little things like this. You might not use something like this for 3 years, and then the next thing you know, you find some code and you can't find the VCAR file or the Fusion 360 or whatever it was. And you're like, well, all I got is this code. What can I do with it? Well, you can still do a lot with it besides just run it the way it is originally. So another thing I wanted to point out too, let me drop this down. We haven't talked much about UC CNC software, but I've got it pulled up. I've got the same program. Let's see what I got here. Yep. Okay, yeah, I did a scale of 1 1/4 here, and then I rotated at 90. So let me get back up to the top. And when I hit cycle start here, you can see kind of the same way Mach 3 does it. They have up here, it has 1 1/4, so that's the scale. And it also has the readout in red as opposed to this light blue like it normally would be. So that tells you that the red cues you up that that's rotated, and then right here is the scale. So the G code G50, G51, as well as G68 and G69 work with both Mach 3 and UC CNC software. They are not supported by Linux CNC or the Masso controller. I'm going to try to, I've been playing around with the Masso a little bit. I haven't been to get another piece of plywood because I'm just going to do a whole different one for the Masso. And I can tell right now we've got somebody that's going to try that. All right, Al, you can try this and put different values for the X and the Y, and then report back here and let us know what it did, because that would be interesting what it would do. But yeah, all right. So there you go. Couple of things you probably won't think about every day. May not have ever thought about using them, but yeah, Clyde says not supported in Gerbil. Yeah, I think like I said, it may be supported in some other stuff. Well, I know it's supported in all the industrial type controller stuff, but Mach 3 and UC CNC both have the. And another thing here too, let's see, I'll probably get lost here looking around here because I don't know this as well. Oh, when you go to help, this is, they have a list of the supported G codes and supported M codes, just like Mach 3 does the same thing. If I come back here where Mach 3 was, they have it right here on the thing. You can click this and it puts it on the wrong thing. But they have a list of all the, there you see G50, G51, gives you a little brief thing of what they do. And I guess that's something to click on. Let's see what that does. Oh yeah, it gives you a little, I don't know why you can't make that bigger, but anyway, it kind of gives you the lowdown on how some of that stuff works. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. I thought I had jotted this stuff down when I first started talking about doing this live stream from out here in the shop. And I thought, well, some of this stuff, like the rotating and the scaling and all, it's not something you're going to do much. But I thought, what the heck, I'll show you, because it is there. It's it can be handy for some things. So, and it's not hard at all to do. Just remember that whatever you turn on, whether it be scaling or rotating, make sure you put that code down at the end to turn it off as well. And just so I can show you, here you see I'm having it turn on right after it's 0, 0, and it's giving it the speed for the plunge there. But then it's right before most, the main code starts is where I'm putting those. And then the same thing when I turn it off, I'm turning it off right here before it raises the Z up and then goes home. So pretty much near the bottom of the program is where that needs to be. Let's see if I had any other things. I don't think so. No, I guess that was it. Also, again, don't forget, check out the maintenance hours thing. I didn't look, I didn't even look for that over here, but there may be something like that over here. I don't know. I'll have to dig into that. We haven't really talked about UC CNC much, but I will get into that a little bit because I know there's some of y'all out there that run that. It says, I was under the impression that it's the task of the CNC controller to interpret the G code, and that Mach 3 and I'm not sure, fire in, I'm not sure. We're supposed to just send the G code to the controllers. Well, they're sending pulses and steps to the controllers, or to the motors, I guess. All right. I don't see any questions. Thank you, Bart. Hope you got something out of that. I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. I've still got no UC CNC running over here, but yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed that and got something out of that. Like I said, this isn't something you'll use all the time. You may never use it, but there may come a time when you go, all I've got is the code, and I need to make this smaller or bigger, or I don't have room to run it this way, but I got room if I can turn it that way. So it's really kind of a handy feature. And also, I know everybody, I won't say everybody, most everybody has, fancy software like VCAR Pro. So it's easy to just set everything up and do your tool pass and all that. And then if something's wrong, put it back into there. But for some of the old school folks, it's easy. Like if you can do something like I could make one of these like this at one location and call that a G54, which is an offset. And then I could do a G55. And if there wasn't enough material over here, I could just rotate it this way and put that, those commands inside that, where that G55 is, or whatever offset I'm using. So it's some powerful stuff. And it's not that hard to use. G code's a little intimidating to look at it because it's got all kinds of weird things. But once you learn a little bit about what they mean, it's not hard to do. So, all right. So I'm going to get out of here. It's not too bad out here today. It's only about 70 degrees because the temperature's really dropped since this rain and stuff come in. Peggy says, I just found the operator/edit button script to modify my ref all home button to center my X axis and bring the gantry forward a couple inches to minimize the time it takes to get set up next time I use my machine. Okay. All righty. Thank you, Rob. Hope you enjoyed that. I know Rob's a Linux user, so probably wasn't any help to Rob, but because that stuff doesn't work in Linux. At least that I can tell. I went in there and I Googled G code supported by Linux CNC, and it came up with a chart or a list, and those weren't on it. So I don't think they will work. But anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in, and hanging out with me a little bit. Hopefully you got something out of this. And until next time, we will see y'all later. Everybody have an awesome Wednesday.